Hi, this presentation is lessons learned from over 10 years of managing team projects in an online course. The agenda for this presentation is we're going to cover about me, about this online course. We're going to talk about the project that's worked on within this online course. We'll review my grade center and then take a look at some feedback from a couple of students. Throughout this presentation, there'll be references or a number of references to lessons learned over the course of my 10 years plus of teaching online. So about me. My name is Rich Weller. There's a number of bullet points on this slide, way too many to cover, not about to cover them here, but I have highlighted a few things in green just so they stand out. I have nearly 30 years experience in the project management space. I have an MBA, a master's degree in business administration from Wright State University, and my undergraduate is from the University of Rio Grande, a business degree with a minor in computer science. The most interesting thing about the University of Rio Grande, which is in southeastern Ohio, their claim to fame is there's a gentleman that went to school there many years ago by the name of Bevo Francis, who scored 116 points in one basketball game, and that was before the three-point line. And if you don't believe me, you can Google that one. So this is about me, and again, my name is Rich Weller. But the most important thing on this slide is that I am an instructor for Washtenaw Community College, a part-time instructor, I should say. And the next slide is about me and teaching. I started teaching as a part-time instructor in that from my alma mater back there in southeastern Ohio back into the year 2000. In 2004, the spring-summer semester of 2004, I began teaching at Washtenaw Community College. I believe my first course was Intro to Business. Into the winter of 2006, I began teaching the BMG 291 project management course in the classroom, and that was really fun. In spring, summer semester of 2007, we actually developed our first online course, or I should say I developed my first online course with the university. And that was scheduling and project management. And then in the winter of 2008, we built the BMG 291 online project management course. And that's really the focus of today's presentation, is that BMG 291 online project management course. And so with that being said, let's dive in a little deeper. Let's talk about that course for just a moment. Again, I've been teaching this course for over 10 years, and I've learned a lot over that course of time. So if you think about it, there's 20 to 30 students that are coming in each semester at the beginning of each semester, and my objective is to help them understand the fundamentals of project management. And just that one course, I kind of view that as a project in itself. You know, how do I go about getting those 30 students from knowing nothing all the way to the end of the semester, understanding project management and doing well. So I guess my biggest lessons learned from this at this point would be that you need to provide the students a detailed list of what it is they need to do, and not only what they need to do, but when it needs to be complete. And so with that being said, the next screenshot here then I should say the next slide here is a screenshot of the schedule details. This is a PDF, a screenshot from a PDF document that I give to each student that that kind of shows them exactly what needs to be done. You can see on the screen here, it shows what week we're in, what needs to be the activities that need to be completed or the tasks, and then the due date of each task. In what I encourage the students to do is actually print this full document out and use it as a checklist to mark things off as they complete them. And again, this is the first big lesson learned for teaching any class for that matter, but most importantly, an online class. So the next thing would be that project management itself is a mixture of art and science. I've always said that. Many others have said that project management is a mixture of art and science. And the science part, that's kind of like the processes, the process of project management. There's big steps that we go through, or I should say steps that we go through from taking an idea for a project and moving it through its various steps or stages all the way to a completed project. That process, I would consider that the science. There's also technology that we leverage in helping us deliver projects. I would say that that is science as well. But the art part, that's what falls into the art part. That's the people side of things. And with respect to the people side of things, in our course, in this course, we try to help the students learn about that art piece and that people management side of things. And in order to do that, the first thing that I do is actually have the students complete a self-assessment. Now, they have no idea about this self-assessment, why they're doing it. They're just, there's 40 questions, and they just go down the list, and they simply put an X by the item that is a best fit for their character, and they just, this is like on week 2, they just complete this little assignment and they hand it back to me. But what they don't realize is that this assignment, this assessment is actually based upon how they answer the questions. It's fitting them into one of 4 different social styles, and this assessment you saw there. I have it in Excel. If you're interested in a copy of that, shoot me an email and I can get you a copy of that. The social styles. There's also some supporting documents that I have in relationship to that, but ultimately the output of that assessment, it kind of aligns the students into which one of these areas, whether it's action, process, people, or idea, is most dominant for that student. And what I do is I get that assessment back, and I actually mix the teams. They have no idea, the students have no idea that I do this, but I mix the teams so that there's not all the same type of person or character within a team. Within each team, it's varied. And so that's one of the tricks that I do within this course to help the students learn how to work with different types of people. So the next thing that in this course, of course, it's a project management course, so we'll need a project. I'll come back to that in just a minute, because after performing that assessment and breaking the class up into various teams, I then schedule a kickoff meeting with them. Now, that kickoff meeting, it's a first meeting with each project team, and there's some lessons learned around that kickoff meeting. First, the first thing is, at least a week in advance, I let each student know which team they're a part of and when we're going to come together to meet online. I let them know via email so that they can be prepared to join that session online. And that project kickoff meeting, that's an opportunity for me to explain to the students what the to the students or to each individual team what their project is going to be about. So again, that kickoff meeting, it's pretty important. If everything goes right with respect to their project, that's really the only time the students and I actually talk, and we come together online using the product called GoToMeeting, which allows everyone to come together and be in a virtual classroom and talk and collaborate using that technology. So again, a week in advance, letting them know that when that meeting is scheduled. And here's the thing, I simply say that I wish that I could make these meetings mandatory, but that's virtually impossible. What I do say is this kickoff meeting is critical to the success of your team project. And so with that being said, for the most part, probably 80% of the attendees are able to join at the day and time of their project kickoff meeting, but occasionally life kicks in, and students have to work, or something comes up, some type of an emergency. And I wish that I could make this project kickoff meeting mandatory, but in a classroom setting, it's just not possible. But we'll talk about we'll come back to this point in just a moment. So let me move forward. What I want to do now is I would like to review this team project with you. This is the same presentation that I review with each project team. This is for the last 10 plus years, 2 to 3 semesters a year, anywhere from 5 to 7 teams. We have done this project many times, but it's the same project. It's pretty simple, but it seems to meet the needs of this course. And again, I'm bringing each team together. There's one other lesson learned here with respect to these teams is the size of each team. From my experience, the best size for the number of people that are on a team is 4. I target 4. The reason being is because when you get less than 4, like say 3, you can end up with a situation where it's kind of 2 against 1. And that's not a good environment. You get down to 2 people, now you're not really being collaborative. I mean, it's just 2 people. If you go the other way, 5 people, that gets a little difficult in finding a time where all 5 people can come together and work collaboratively. So 4 people is the four member teams is what I target, and that's to me the optimal size. So let us move forward now with this presentation on the project that I have each team work through. So it goes like this, and I give this same presentation to each team. You are the head of special projects at Freedom University, and you get a call from the president, and he says, "Hey, come down here and meet me in Computer Lab C." And when you arrive, he says he'd like to have the tile that's in this room replaced with carpet. And he reaches into his pocket and pulls out a little sample piece of the carpet, and says, "I want you to use this style right here." And so he'd like you to head up this project. And the next slide that I show is kind of a picture of the room. Since we're all working virtually, it's not unlike any classroom, or I'm sorry, any lab in any university. Especially at Washington Community College there, it looks real similar to a number of the labs I've been in. You can see the tables and chairs and that old nasty tile that's there on the floor. The next slide, I kind of give them some more details about that room, and their objective is to work with these various departments to plan and manage this project. And so
A couple of requirements coming from the president, right? And I'm still kind of talking to the students. Hey, hold a kickoff meeting, and that's what we were doing right there. And then develop this plan and in Microsoft Project and hand that to me before you actually begin execution. And then I say, hey, here's some additional details. And this second bullet point says, your team can establish all other constraints and assumptions as long as you document them. Let me tell you, this was one of the tweaks. This was one of the things I added after the second, or after the first time I delivered the course. Because I didn't have this in here, and in the first time we delivered, I got email after email. Rich, what about this? Should we do that? How about this? I'm like, just answering all these emails. And so that was one of my big lessons learned is, I said, hey guys, you can establish any other constraints and assumptions you want to as long as you document them. Boom. Next semester, it was like crickets. Because I set up the medium and the method for them where they could make up their own story. Because they were down into the nitty-gritty details, and I was trying to teach them like the big fundamentals. So this was a big lesson learned for me and really helped me out as an instructor. I'm sure it helped the students too. So that was a big one. Performance, again, this is part of the actual presentation. I showed each team. This too mirrors my real project management world. I say, I tell them at the end of this project, at the end of the semester, I'm going to ask you to complete a performance evaluation, not only on yourself, but your team members. And this is my checks and balances, right? This is an online course, and they're working as a team. How can you get farther away as an instructor, from being able to see what the students are doing? I don't know how, unless you just checked in at the beginning. And, so this is a means for me, like a checks and balances that they keep themselves in check. And in addition to this, I do each week also say, hey, if someone was unable to participate in this week's project challenge, let me know who that is so we can deal with that accordingly. But this right here kind of helps keep them in check. That's my checks and balances. And then the next thing I'll talk about here is just some technology, right? I've mentioned GoToMeeting already. To me, that's is anyone else in here using the GoToMeeting product? Yeah.
How do you get access to that?
Gloria, I'm sorry, I don't.
Yeah, I'll get it for you. Just give me your name and I will.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
actually make a note on that. If you could, just put a little star beside your name and I'll get it for you next week early. Thank you.
To me, this course, again, think about it. This course we developed back in 2008. Whoa, we were doing some things with technology that people had never even, still sometimes today I run into students like, hey, I've never done anything like that. And you can imagine what this was like back in 2008. It was really revolutionary. But for me, I come from that IT project management background, and I've been using this in my other job for years. And so again, using this GoToMeeting product, you can see how I intend for them to use it. It's each week we do a project challenge. I ask one of the members of the team to kind of act like the project manager, to take the lead, and then they come together working as a team, and one person lead. And how I had envisioned this course to work, and not meaning to get political, but does anyone remember that show, The Apprentice, with Donald Trump? not meaning to get political, but that's exactly how. 2008. That's when this show was on, and I'm like, dude, that's the exact model I want to use with my students. And that was the model for my class, and that was the model that I used each week. Now there's no you're fired, but they do take turns kind of leading the team through a project challenge, and each week is a different challenge. And it gives everybody an opportunity gives them an opportunity to play with this maybe new technology. I'll show you here in just a moment. We actually have a a team site set up within Blackboard for each team. And what's that? That's your cloud storage, right? Well, that years, 2008, that phrase didn't even really exist, stored on the cloud. Well, we've had that Blackboard capability since then, and we still use it today. We'll take a look at that in just a moment. So this is the technology that we're using. And again, this was a big leap for many. Just real quick, why Microsoft Project is part of this course, because it's the #1 project management software that's out there. And then I get to this section again. I'm still in the pitch that I give to each team, and I'm sharing these tips with the team. I say, #1, guys, and I say it just like this. I say, if you want to hate this course, if you want to hate me and dislike all of your team members, don't do this. If you don't do this, then you'll end up hating this course. But if you guys do this, then your experience in this course will at least be somewhat better. And so this is what I say. I say, as a team, you guys need to find 1 day per week and 1 hour within that day where you can come together and work collaboratively online to complete your project challenge. And so here again, this is another one of those things where this is so important that I almost want to make this mandatory, but I don't, because I don't want to be that, dictate that much. But I can tell you that for those teams, because at the end of the class, I also say, hey teams, tell me what worked and tell me what didn't. I can tell you straight away, looking at what gets turned in, whether those teams are doing this. I can tell by the quality. I can tell by what's coming in. I can tell by if they're taking turns. I can just tell after 10 years whether or not they're doing this one thing. And this one thing, if I were to take that list that I've given you right there and say, what is the one most critical lesson learned? It's this one. It's this one. And then there's also a product out there if the teams have trouble finding a slot, but usually if there's only 4 people, they can kind of do that pretty quickly, almost verbally, like, oh, Sunday. And it doesn't matter if it's Tuesday at noon or Thursday at midnight or Sunday at 11:27. It doesn't matter. Just find that 1 day and 1 time. There's a product out there, if you're not aware, called Doodle that will help a team find their common time. And then other tips as well. Encourage the students to share their email addresses and phone numbers. In today's technological world, when we first built this, I don't even think we texted back then. But now, that's probably, it's way more common for students to text today than to call someone, right? So make sure you share email addresses and phone numbers, and then don't, that big one there, this one's to everybody in here, right? Don't rely solely on email for communication, right? Because that just doesn't work. Let me shut the door real quick. I know I've been talking a lot, and it's been very one way. Are there any questions? Again, I encourage you to challenge me or question me or comment. Everybody good?
I have a question. Now that you're 10 years in, do you find that the students are not daunted by GoToMeeting? Because one of the courses I teach, they still seem a little bit hesitant to use it or just not that familiar with it.
Yeah, they're still, so let me see if I can answer the question like now, how many are familiar with this kind of product? So this is one of many, right?
Right.
Probably 80% today have used some product that's similar. But the thing about it is I forced them into actually like being the presenter. But I tell them, I'm like, look, you're in a great opportunity. You're in a very safe learning environment with your little team. So you don't have to worry about failing so much, and you guys can teach one another. As a matter of fact, when I end those kickoff meetings, I'll always pick the person who has like the most experience, and I said, okay, now you're going to become the organizer, so you can take over from here, and then you guide the team. And so that's one of the cool things about those little small little teams is they teach one another probably as much, if not more, than what I teach them as an instructor. But it's better. Yeah, go ahead.
Project management, is that a prerequisite to your course? Or how are the students learning project management?
Yeah, well, that's what this course is all about. It's like a project management 101 kind of class. It's like the fundamentals, and it's just one class out of a business curriculum. Please come in. Just as I shut the door, somebody comes. Okay, let me move forward here. Yeah, go ahead.
I've had some feedback during group projects from some students that they find sometimes it's a great group, other times there's one person doing all the work. So is there a sort of, I mean, I know you can encourage them to work together, but have you found any strategies to tackle that?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, what I've gone to, and it probably wasn't until a few years ago, to help combat that was a couple of things. One, as I send out the assignment for the week, I say, it's due by this time, because they're team assignments. The whole team gets the same grade. But I say, take turns leading, right? That kind of puts them, but that's not always going to solve the problem. But I also say, let me know anybody who doesn't contribute towards this project challenge. And what's that result in? Well, I'm not, if they didn't contribute at all, then they're not going to get a part of that grade. So that's something I've done also to help balance out that workload. And then occasionally I'll still get some emails that say, hey, so-and-so, or I see some lack of performance, and I say, remember I said, if things go well, this is they only hear from you in the kickoff meeting, but quite often I'll see something that's not working right, and I'll say, hey, invite me to your next reoccurring meeting. As a matter of fact, I've got one scheduled for tomorrow at 1 o'clock. If you're welcome to join us. And I kind of go into that meeting saying, hey guys, what's working well as a team, and what could be better and then when we get into that, what could be better, and I'm there kind of help facilitating that. I have some insights as to what's not working right. I kind of get them back in the right track. So you can't get them all, but again, just trying to move things in the right direction. And so back to another lessons learned here. After that kickoff meeting, again, I don't make that kickoff meeting mandatory, but after that kickoff meeting, I send out an email which looks very similar to this. I send it to the whole team, but it says, basically says, hey, if you were unable to attend, it's your responsibility to go get with your team to figure out what you missed and what's due next. And so that puts the onus on that individual that, hey, maybe their child got sick, or maybe they were in an accident, or maybe they had to work and just couldn't get off. I don't feel it's right to penalize somebody for life, And so this is how I've handled that. And it always seemed 95+%, that one person that couldn't attend always ends up connecting back up with their group, and then they get on. So there's a phrase, and I want you to write it down. If you haven't already heard of it, it's called forming, storming, norming, and performing. And those are stages of team development, and every one of my teams go through that. And I tell them up front, so like, look, this isn't even part of the advertised portion of this course, but you're going to learn this. You're going to go through that storming stage where you fight around. And guess what? Appreciate it. Realize that you're learning, and this, you're gaining experience from that, and appreciate it. Forming, storming, norming, and performing. So again, this is the lessons learned there. I want to take just a second now and show you the Blackboard site that we work with. So I'll hop over to Blackboard. This is the Blackboard site for project management course, BMG 291. There are 3 things I want to show you here. One of which is, I've got a link over here that says team project. And again, this is right now, this is live. Like this is this semester. So just so you guys know, I'm not trying to, blow any smoke. Somebody give me a team. Which team do you want me to look at?
3.
Team number 3. So if I drill in, and they can only see their own team. They only have access to their own team. So if we drill into team 3, here we get to see the student names, but there's the features. There's a number of features within Blackboard, but the one that's most critical to this course is what we call the file exchange. And guess what? Here is all of their documents that are related to that carpet project that they're working on. So these are all of the things that they've created as part of that project. You'll notice down here at the bottom, they're in here in date posted order. Down here at the bottom, I seed them 2 files, one of which says, hey, here's how to access GoToMeeting, step by step with screenshots for their team. And then here is that team project PowerPoint that we all just walked through, that I walked them through online during that kickoff meeting. I seed them with that, and then I say, go, move forward. And then the next question is, well, how do we move forward? Well, that's where we go back to that detailed schedule. So if I click on schedule, syllabus and schedule, I go down here to the schedule details PDF. Here's the one, the real one for this semester that I took a screenshot from. So this is daunting. When a student first gets this, they're like, oh my gosh, it blows their mind. This is going to be terrible. But after about the 3rd or 4th week, they go, oh, I get it. Check. I got it. Check. I see what he's doing here. And it just falls in line because it's like step by step. And so this tells them what to do next. You'll notice that there's a column out here that says, oh, is there a template for that? Yes, there's a template. Oh, well, if there's a template, that's within my project manager's toolbox. So if I go within the project manager's toolbox, not only blank templates, but completed examples, and here within the blank templates is all of the templates that I'll ask them to complete throughout the semester. And guess what? There's that daunting performance evaluation template that keeps them in check. Okay, so that's kind of that's the 3 things within the Blackboard site that I wanted to show you. The next topic on the agenda was to talk about my grade center, right? Not my grade center within Blackboard, but my grade center, Rich Weller's grade center. So with that being said, I'll advance forward. And this is, Gloria, you'll have to help me here. I don't know what this thing is called, but it's kind of like the results of the class. So you can see here BMG 291. This is my project management success rate and grade distribution. So you get to see the number of students, 26 total students, and this success rate is apparently, factored in here somehow. But the reason I brought this up was because, if you compared this class to some of the college averages, you'll notice that it's a good bit higher than what the college averages is. Keep in mind, this is an online class, right? An online class. So that's my grade card. I kind of take a peek at this every now and then to make sure I'm headed in the right direction. Trying to beat all my peers down here, or all you guys, I should say. Trying to beat you guys down here. And then just a couple of some feedback from the students, and I only got a couple. I could have brought in a whole bunch, but that would. I don't think that would, the purpose is to share with you, and I won't read this whole thing, but I've taken quite a few online courses, but this is by far the best one for content and interaction. Okay, and what she was talking about here was the way we use that GoToMeeting product and force them into, into using it. The next person here, Richard, going back to 2013, should be a great selling point to a potential employer. And that's, to me, that's my goal as I built these classes, or this class, was for each class, as they walk away from that class, they get something, they learn something that they can take away tangibly and put it into play in their next day, no matter what they do in their job. Right? Because or in school, because these fundamental project management tips, each class is a project, right? That's what it is.
Yeah.
And here's your lessons learned. And with that, that's all I've got. If you, I hit it. I made up the 5 minutes that you started, or at least 4 of them. I hit it right at a quarter after. You can get me through Washtenaw Community College. I've got a website. If you're into the whole social media thing, you can pick me up on there. I'll welcome any questions that anyone has. Did I get all the tips? Did I get all the lessons learned?
Yeah, that's very good. I have a question about the groups of 4. So if somebody flakes or drops, as often happens, do they just go on as 3 people, or sometimes
Yeah.
God forbid only 2 people?
No, I get even down to 2. Now, if it were just one, I'd move them onto a group.
I see.
But
I see.
only one time have I ever had to do that. One time in 10 years that we ended up having just one person. I'm like, look, I got it. This class doesn't work with just you by yourself.
Yeah.
I need you to be interacting with others. Only one time out of all of those teams.
All right, I was just curious. So they can move forward with 3 or 2
Yep,
if need be.
yep.
Does that happen very often?
It does. Yeah, we have
People
students.
drop away.
Yeah. There was, yeah. What other kind of
Microsoft project?
What's that?
How did they get Microsoft project?
So Microsoft Project is, the way we do that, you can download a free trial version from the web.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's got like a 60-day trial window, so they get and that's what's cool. I mean, the students don't get it, but so in my real job as a project manager, these students are walking away with the same knowledge and skill set in that piece of software that I'm out here teaching for sometimes teaching other people that are making triple-digit salaries. The same exact thing that I was teaching the students, this past week. It's kind of cool, and the students, I don't know if that's kind of clicked for them, but I try to get it across. Anything else?
One.
So what I found too for online projects, typically in groups of 4, there's maybe one student, not in all groups, but quite a few, comes in at the last minute. So the 3 of them have been working all week. It's maybe a Sunday, 11:59 due date, 6 p.m. The one student comes in and is like, hey guys, what are we doing? Or how should we turn this in? And they still want to get the exact same credit as everybody else. So what's the best way to handle that?
Yeah, so let me break that into 2 because I want to break that into 2 because I want to address the student coming in late to the course. So I actually won't take a student past like that first week because already they're behind and we can't catch them up. You just missed too much. So I'll go way above like, I don't know, 35 students, or I think I've seen maybe 36. I'll go way above. I'll prove anybody to get them in there, but I won't let it go past that first week of the kingdom. Now, so those teams of 4 working together, I really don't have insight as to who would come in late like that you're describing, but I do have that policy or encourage them to take turns leading, so that gets everybody an opportunity to, I got to get there first. I got to get everything set up. So that it does kind of pass that around. I really wouldn't have insight as to, one of the team members coming in, unless that bubbled up from the team and said, hey, this person is notoriously late coming in and they're not prepared, which is exactly the situation that I've got with the team that I'm meeting with tomorrow. And so, again, how I'm going to combat that is, hey, guys, how's things going? What could be better? And get them to bring that out. And then from my perspective, I'll say, hey, I've noticed that you're not taking turns leading, and because the person leading for that week is the one who should be turning things in, so that I can see who's not had a turn at turning things in. So I guess that would be how I would combat that a bit. But again, so far, it's so hard online, right? It's online for one thing, but then you're going another level away because you're asking the teams to work as one. So you just kind of getting a little farther away.
Yeah, it's typically you get an email from 1 or 2 students within that group saying, hey, student X decided to chime in at the last minute when we've already done most of the work.
Yeah, and that's very similar. I got the email on Thursday, and within, 10 minutes of getting that email, I said, hey, team, invite me to your next meeting, because, just trying to balance things out to ensure that everybody's pulling their own weight. Anything else, guys?
Does everybody know where to get their own report card within my WCC?
Yeah,
Okay, good.
I do.
You may have to guide my hands, Gloria.
So go to my WCC, so go back to your single sign on. Put the sign back in, okay. Go to my WCC. And close your eyes when we get to this page, everybody. But you need to go to employee and then down,
Right there.
yep, right there. Okay?
So,
That's your report card.
oh, you know what I did? I actually made, silly me, I actually made a link to that. So,
Okay,
there's a link here in one of these slides that takes you directly to that page. Let me see if I can find it real quick, because your next question is, hey, how do I get a copy of that presentation? Email me. And also, I've tried to record this thing and make a video of this. So if you send me an email, I'll send you both the PowerPoint file. If you want anything else that you've seen, I'll send that to you, and I'll see how the audio turned out for this video, and I'll send you a link to that as well. So one of these pages, again, I put that link at the bottom of the page. I'm not sure which one, but it takes you right over to this page within the Blackboard site, so you can see all of your
right.
results.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're all free to go if you want to stay back. And